Just put it in that context. So I think maybe to some extent, if I tend to equate myself, Johnson and Pete, somewhat think within those lines. We might have our own thing, but on the side we might do something. Or to some extent, like Johnson, his full-time thing is to do something proper. But it doesn't have to be limited to that. There's many options. So I just want to show you how, from being in law school, and I graduated law school, and 6 months after that I did a postgraduate diploma in Sharia law part-time, that from coming in ITM, Shah Alam background, where I also live in Shah Alam, and I just want to point this out because there's so much stereotype involving Shah Alam and ITM. Yeah, it's true. And Klang, right? From Klang, so we're in the same side of town. That your choices are as much as available to you as your mind makes it available to you. Okay? So today, what I'm involved in, I run Random Alphabets. I'm part of the team that is part of Random Alphabets. And hey, I'm one person here from Random Alphabets. Say, ooh, so she's been participating in many projects. We are Random Alphabets. Random Alphabets makes no money. In fact, I'm very confident that Random Alphabets loses money. I'm very confident in that. Number 2, I run Wago. That's why I try to make money. Now, as I pointed out to you earlier, in many occasions, I don't know where my money went. So when I started Wago, I was very clear. I got my business partner. I said, no matter what, I can do anything, but you have to do finance and accounting, because otherwise, you will not make any money. So we do that. And today, Wago has grown to what it is today. Thirdly, because of these skills and experiences developed, because of the maturity I hope I've gained, I get called up to be part of many things. Many things I have to turn down because I say I can't commit to it full time, but what I'll do is that I contribute my communications, strategy, input into your organization. But one that I recently agreed to is to be part of this, Undi Malaysia. Undi Malaysia is a voter education campaign. There's a lot of people who do voter registration, and that's good. But after that, we want them to vote for the right reasons. So I'm supposed to run the communications team of Undi Malaysia. Okay? It's a very new campaign, so if you go to the website, I know you won't get much, but give it some time and we're still looking for people. So that's that. At the same time, on a weekly basis, some organization or some university or some school is going to email me and say, Zain, we have this campaign, we have this idea, can you help us out? Or Zain, we have this organization, can you help out the organization as a whole? There's only so much that I can do. And when I wonder about the young people out there who talk so much, who are concerned so much, but yet I'm baffled to understand why aren't they doing something about it. If you work in a mathematical problem and you go to 15 pages of solution and you don't get to a solution, something is wrong there. If I'm not mistaken, they are called crazy people. So if you go on talking about something and you feel there's no impact made, something is wrong, so you've got to kind of shift that. So I'm looking to have more people to work with me and work alongside me and maybe help them and so that they can do other things too. But I also want to point out that the models are not limited. In my case, this is where I try to earn money, this is where I definitely lose money, but this Random Alphabets, sorry, this is Wago, this Random Alphabets, so happens, gets us in the media a lot, and from the media, people know us, and then this third entity approaches for help. And when we help in this third entity, the various entities that we help in, nobody knows we're behind it. But to me, work is done, impact is achieved, I'm happy with it. And then that also involves me in such things like this today. So the equation and the formula and the theories are so fluid that it's amazing. But it will not happen until you start taking that action now, but also putting some thought into it. Now I'm just going to address the 3 questions that was posed to me when I agreed to do this. One is how to turn passion into money. I think I'm trying to explain that. Okay. Number 2 is have your work, love your work, and money will follow. Does this always hold? I disagree. I don't think so. If you love your passion to the core, it will bring you money. If you remember a very passionate man, this friend of mine, he did a lot of good work. He, in fact, he practically killed himself. He's called Vincent Mango. Of course, I call him Vincent. He killed himself, and I think he only sold 1 painting in his lifetime. So I'm just taking that simple example to show you, no, I'm sorry, I know that you're going to tell your parents that I'm going to play drum and I love it so much and I'm going to make money out of it. It's understandable for your parents to be concerned with that solution now. Okay? So no, I don't think so. Following your passion will always bring money. But that doesn't mean you can't follow your passion on the side. Second part is challenges faced in your respective unique field. How many minutes have I got left? 5 to 10, nice, okay. The challenges that I face doing what I'm doing is because of, to touch what the professor said earlier, a country sometimes does well because of the institutions it is available to. I'm not quick to deny that Singapore has far greater institutions than Malaysia does in terms of judiciary, in terms of tax, in terms of public transport. I don't think so we should get this silly library to make us deny that fact. There's a reason why that happens. As much as I want to see world power being balanced, China has a lot of human rights violations, so I'm worried about it no matter how well they do. The institutions are not set up, I think, to be a responsible superpower. Institutions are not set up, so to go back to having a unique field. Because of these institutions in Malaysia that are as such, that are to me not as responsible, not as accountable, makes it difficult in my work to be creative. So what I'm trying to draw to you is that why is it important to have certain institutions in this country, whether it's a bank, government-based or not government-based, it will affect even though you're not directly involved in that. Because today, if I want to do something very creative and I want to propose it to a client and it's a damn good idea and they love it, they might say no because then the police is not going to allow this. Why? Because the police works in the mindset that this is wrong when it's not. Or worse still, even worse still, the police has no problem with it, but the clients are convinced that the police has a problem with it. How is that silly? It's very painful to sit through 5 rounds of meetings and then have your idea turned down and rejected simply because we don't want to get caught. And it helps that I have legal background and I say no, this is not illegal, but sometimes I can't get past that barrier. So now imagine that. And tomorrow imagine that you have a certain view about a certain leader or a certain company and you go to the park and you want to say something and you can't. Isn't that bad? Or you can, but you didn't because you fear that you will get caught. These are examples of how institutions can affect Malaysia in being a developed country, in being a developed environment. So, and if I have to draw this one point, you cannot say, okay, this is getting a bit on the political sphere, not being political sphere. The reason why I cannot resist getting into Malaysia and being involved somewhat in political discussion in Malaysia, political work, not partisan, just purely political work, is because you cannot say that what happens in politics does not involve you. If you put in certain, let's just say, if you put certain politicians into power today, education could be free. Would you be paying to be where you are here today? You wouldn't. Because those politicians believe that education should be free. Let's just say, I'm not trying to upset Monash. But I'm trying to draw an example. Or if you were all here, a good chunk of you were to vote for politicians who believe that public transport for students should be free because education is a human right. Then transport would be free for students. Wouldn't you love it? If it makes sense, wouldn't you love it? You would. So therefore, you cannot tell me that politics do not matter to you. A very simple lady in Jakarta told me some months ago, she said, someone was saying there's not politics, and he said, malah harga susu bayi itu juga adalah politics. The price of baby's milk is also politics. Just like how the judiciary is going to be part of your life, just like how politics is going to be part of your life, just like how the economy of the country is going to be part of your life, everything is working together. Which is why, even though I'm not an academic, which is why I'm kind of sometimes tired of the academic discussion, I refuse to disengage myself with you guys today. Because I think we are all part of that process. And to engage with part of the process is very, very important. That's all. Do you have any questions? Or any questions later? Oh, now, okay. Sure, sit down there. Come.
Have a big applause, please. amazing, really. You're a real action taker. How do you motivate yourself?
I get bored.
You get bored?
Yeah, I think two things. I get bored easily. I can't stay in one place all the time. I was in a car last night from Singapore. I went to Singapore in the morning and drove back at night. My brother drove. I just was sitting in the car. So I can't be in this confined space all the time. Number one, and short attention span. The reason why I point it out is because I want to show to you that it doesn't always have to be noble lah. We don't have to be Gandhi. We don't have to be freedom fighter. I'm just bored, and I dream a lot. That's all.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Where did your money go to?
I think in the younger age, still young. In the younger age, the money probably went to a lot more shopping and just going out. But later, I think it went to food and traveling. I traveled quite a bit, even though I traveled in a cheap manner. I traveled quite a bit because, like I said, you're sitting Friday, you're bored, then you meet travel plans, and 3 months later, you're out.
So when you came up with your ideas?
That's interesting that you bring that up. I feel that whenever I take myself out of my comfort zone and just have some time to myself, that's when I get a lot of ideas. I don't think so any of you need to be a Gilbert and go to India and eat in Indonesia. You don't eat prayer. I don't think so you need to do that. Sometimes as simple as taking yourself out of your comfort zone, like go to Mama and have teh tarik alone. I took the ERL to KLIA and I got so many ideas on the way. Just because I'm not used to this environment, I'm just sitting, a lot of things come in the way. And of course, when I travel, a lot of things happen as well. And you get a lot of ideas and things.
You write it down? I mean, I think
some I do write them down, some I just visualize. Sometimes I may not come up with new ideas, but I just come up with how to fine-tune an existing idea. And I shall them up. I just keep somewhere and who knows 5 years later what this is.
Okay. Alright, yeah. Now open to the floor if you want to ask any questions.
Hi Zain. I just want to ask, I'm Lena by the way. I wanted to ask, I think the slight problem about entrepreneurship is that it's a bit, to the public, a bit like pie in the sky. It's something you hear of, something so wow, Tony Fernandez could do this, and he appears to be an entrepreneur, all that kind of stuff. But also the young ones, but I think people miss the little bit of entrepreneurship that no matter where we are, no matter what we choose to be, we can still apply. Like for example, if say like Professor, he's just studying accounting, Professor Gould, it doesn't mean that he isn't an entrepreneur. I think in some little way everyone can be who they are, but at the same time still think like entrepreneurs. So I was wondering if you can try and tell people about that little element we all can have as a little entrepreneur, even though we aren't per se like you're 24/7 entrepreneur the way you are.
Right.
Is that overly convoluted? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, for starters, I think that being an entrepreneur is not necessarily a good thing. I don't think it's necessarily a good thing. But let's just take entrepreneur in terms of risk. I think if some people are comfortable about taking risk, go ahead. If some people want to be a challenge, go ahead. If it's just very tough to kind of wrap my head around the question. Sometimes I feel, because when you touch entrepreneurship, you're touching, there's a money element involved. Whereas I think the point is maybe people to do things beyond what they're normally doing or what they're normally expected to do. So it could be other activities that may not be entrepreneurship. And sometimes these activities could land you in entrepreneurship. So it could be you volunteering for soup kitchen, it could be you volunteering, I don't know, for whatever, and the next thing you know, you get sucked into some areas of life, some things that may involve you in entrepreneurship. But yes, I do agree with you that there's this problem about this whole grandeur idea of what entrepreneurship is. But I also want to point out that not everyone is fit for it. And when I say entrepreneur is not fit for it, I don't mean that it's this elite club that people have to be part of. Some people work far better in a large corporation, in top management, than being an entrepreneur. They have a better output, a better impact, a better outcome, better ways to contribute into that position instead of being an entrepreneur. I could do far better as an entrepreneur than I am today than being an entrepreneur as a painter, because I can't paint, no matter how much I love it and don't want to give up, or work in some marketing department or work in some corporate department, but I can't contribute as much. So, I'm sorry, there's a very tough question to handle, but that's how we do it. I do think there's sometimes an over-exaggerated positive connotation to that word. Yeah. Yes, I agree with that.
Anybody from the audience, do you have any questions? Yes, you. What's your question? Yeah, you. Yeah.
Like, why is it difficult for Malaysia or the Singapore in your opinion?
After reading the Singapore story by Lee Kuan Yew, I think it has a lot to do with one, a strong leadership, a clear leadership, and number two, the willingness of that leadership. Because he was asked about how did you manage to remove corruption in Singapore after leading Federation of Malaysia. He said, people say it's because you're small. He said, no, it's because I'm very clear and that's my priority, to clear corruption. And I think maybe sometimes that's what we lack, that clear leadership. I know that we had a very, to some extent, autocratic leadership for 22 years, which I very much don't agree with. But I don't think so that was his priority agenda. So that's why we have it where we have it today. Another part is maybe Malaysia in a sense sometimes, in my opinion, too consumed with its own bubble that it forgets to engage its neighbours as a learning platform and the outside as a learning platform, and stop seeing it as competition and rivalry. So there was a question from the chat.
Right, I like that bubble competition, so I'll have two questions. The first one is I come from a country which has gone from democracy to dictatorship. So I was very interested, like you said, that like the government, BHQ, we run a campaign for them. And my idea of entrepreneurship is not only taking your own risk, but adding value to society. So let's say that you want to like have fair voting, why you should vote, have informed decision. Would always be on a bias of one side, like let's say that like the current government in power. Yes, they have their positive side as well, but then you're going to highlight why you should make the informed decision. So you're like touching on someone's base and destroying someone else's. So how do you balance that, and how do you convince those in power that what you're doing is good and instead of a threat to their? I'm like more interested in how you deal with the political side. This is very important because politics, and let's say their decisions affect whatever entrepreneurship ideas you have, so their policies, what shape you provide in plans.
You have a second one, Zain? Okay. How do I make a fair balance in terms of voter education to not trump the one in power and to not bring up the one in opposition? Is that what you're saying? The whole idea is to build upon the developed society. That's the whole idea. If the developed society means that this guy will vote for another guy and the other guy will vote for this guy, then so be it. But you've got to keep in mind that when you provoke one element in the chain, which is to create a more wiser electorate, don't be surprised that those who are being voted start also behaving differently. So the idea is to provoke the bottom chain so that you can change the top chain. When I say, I'm not saying changing the guy in power, I'm not trying to get him out of office. I'm just trying to get him to work in a way that he should be working, and to get this group also to be voting in a way that they should be voting. That's all.
recently, you mentioned the corporate structure. Like, for example, most parents would advise their children to get into a big top multinational company and work their way up. The second alternative is you take complete risk and you start your own business venture. What about entrepreneurship in terms of, like, let's say, if I get into a large MNC or construction company and you create new ways of working, encourage people to be leaders, all this. So you're like creating, let's say, new value or new style within your existing environment, similar to your bank,
Yeah.
it was external. So how do you classify that kind of entrepreneurship?
I think that's maybe an academic discussion and I'm not qualified to answer how to classify that. But to be clear, I'm not suggesting that anyone should choose either route. Neither am I suggesting that anyone should choose a route. Maybe you should just do what you feel like needs to be done. Balance between what's the option available to you and the options that. I'll give you an example. Some people in my family have great difficulty on me not being a lawyer. Because it took me a lot of trouble to get into law school and after I want to become a lawyer. And I told this older generation, I said, look, in your era, for lack of a better expression, the dog was given a bone. In my era, fortunately, there's a bone, there's a cookie, there's a brownie. And I'm in the position to choose. If I'm not in the position to choose and I must work as a lawyer because I must feed my family, then by all means I will forego all this crap and I will quickly become so that I can feed the family. But if I'm in the position to choose, shouldn't I have the right to exercise that choice? Number one. Number two, I agree with him really. In fact, I almost don't agree with anyone who goes into entrepreneurship immediately. I almost don't agree with him. Not absolutely, but almost don't. Because in that 6 months I was working in the bank, I learned so much that is very much applicable to me today when I run my own company. And from all those 15 jobs I had since I was 15 years old, so many things that I learned along the way from bosses that were not anywhere near as educated as I was, who taught me many things then, when I was 16, 18, 20. So many things that I learned from them then is applicable to me today. I'm not saying they are more applicable to me than what I learned in university, but I suppose don't underestimate those people who work in corporate structures or entrepreneurs who are definitely far less formally educated than me. There's so much more to learn in them, in my opinion. So I don't advocate any particular route. I think each to his own and just do what works for you.
Thank you. Now we're going for a break. There's some refreshments outside. We'll call you back later. Thank you. John Sunway, and we also prepared a video. So I'll just be talking briefly about your background first before going on. So John Sunway is one of the greatest entrepreneurs in Malaysia under the age of 25. He's literally epic. Epic stands for Extraordinary People Impacting Community. He's the head of that epic community. Johnson's got his hands on the dirt and helps build houses for Orang Aslis, only one of his epic community outreach efforts. Johnson is also director at Growing Emerging Leaders, GEL, a platform that aims to redefine what it means to be a leader. Not about popularity, power, or wealth, but about service. Many efforts such as Voice Your Choice that has been registered with over 140,000 voters nationwide is credit to Johnson's team. Johnson is a graduate from the University of South Australia and is research assistant at UCSI. Entrepreneur Johnson experimented and went on a life's purpose search before finding his calling to social activism, now his way of life and living. Johnson Way, can I welcome you on stage?
Morning. Well, I'll just test this mic. Wow, I didn't know I was one of the greatest entrepreneurs under the age of 25. You guys really know how to make people feel good. Really? No, don't Google me. You'll actually find stuff that I don't think I want you to see. My team would know. Okay. Oh, sorry. Well, so, I have an issue. Alright, people tend to say, people, or rather my brother, my family, they tend to say that I talk too much. I ramble a lot, and sometimes I don't get straight to the point. So for once in my life, I actually did notes. Right, so yeah, if I seem to lose some personality, bear with me. I'll try to gain back some of them during the Q&A session. Well, thank you so much for having me here. and thank you for loading me your ears for the next 20 minutes. Well, this is really a new thing for me, and it's actually quite intimidating, especially because I'm sandwiched between Zain and Leighton PTO, who has done so much. Actually, if you look at my profile, I was reading the booklet. It seems that my only achievements are being invited to talk at other places. So, yeah. So, well, I'm pretty new at this whole thing. And, no, I did not want a Wi-Fi from Monash. Yes. Well, yeah, it was scary, but mainly because I'm not too sure if I'm defined as an entrepreneur. Right? Because this is, I've been called many things. I've been called a social activist, I've been called a youth activist, I've been called a social worker, I've been called a volunteer, I've been called nice guy, and last and my personal favorite from my recent trip to Bangkok, handsome boy. So, yeah, so all these things, but recently, thanks to you guys, now I'm also labeled an entrepreneur. So there's so many names flying around that I'm not even sure which one I want to embody. But I'll try my best. I'll try my best to make it up to your expectations, whatever it is that you're set. So let's go to the resource, the best resource, the most comprehensive and reliable resource on the internet, and how it defines an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur, oh, of course, it's Wikipedia. An entrepreneur is an owner or manager of a business enterprise who makes money through risk and initiative. So I was reading this yesterday, I was thinking to myself, oh yeah, just did my notes yesterday. I was thinking to myself, yesterday my mom just offered to give me some money because I have almost exhausted my last paycheck. My grandma still ask Jesus daily to give me a proper job so that I can get paid. You know, so don't think that I'm some professional, some veteran in this whole arena. I'm very, very new. I'm still trying to find my feet in this whole in this world, so as to speak. So don't look up to me. You know, look at me as though I'm one of you. Okay, because if you're going to look at me as, oh, this guy on the stage has done so much and stuff like that, you'll never see what I see. You'll never be able, you'll only intimidate yourself. But I ask that you not do such a thing. Of course, I hope I haven't made our organizers doubt their choice for a second speaker. Instead, I hope that you would count this a unique experience to speak to a budding entrepreneur. I'll elaborate further later. But if I don't make it, then you probably won't remember it in a few years. You know, that's the risk that I take. I'm going to be giving out certain advice. And it's risky because I'm not sure, I'm just starting off on my journey, and if I don't make it, then you're probably going to think, oh, you know, this guy just talked too much. You know, but I won't lose anything because you'll probably forget me anyways. But if I do make it, then you'll say, wow, I managed to speak to this guy when he wasn't anything yet. You know, so either way, it's a win-win. I hope, now I'm back, that you do not look at me as an expert. To me, my definition of an entrepreneur is about asking the tough questions and taking a step of faith in finding the answers. I think maybe because of that, I have a slightly more clear idea of what it is to be an entrepreneur, or what it is to find my way around in life. I'm just like you, I still ask the same questions myself every night before I go to bed. You know, why do I exist? What am I supposed to do? What are my true passions? What is my ideal career path? Does money really matter? What does it mean to be a good son? You know, does it mean to take the same path that guarantees me a steady flow so I can give my mom money every month? Or do I go the distance and try to make my dreams come true and be truly great? So I ask myself these questions daily. And I have taken that step to move forward. And I believe that an entrepreneur, to be an entrepreneur, it's about looking at our current state of affairs. It's about looking at the way the world is moving and realizing that it isn't perfect. However, the problems do not give us hopelessness. Instead, it grants us opportunities. Because the truth is, we are indeed in a position of power and influence. We are all here and given a place on this stage we call life. That is why, if there is one trait that all entrepreneurs have, it is that we ask ourselves, how can we make things better? I think that is really how you define an entrepreneur. It's a bit tricky if it involves money. I'm still finding that one out. So don't ask me that question again. So recently, Epic managed to build a house for an Orang Asli family of 7. And we managed to complete that house in 5 days. And basically, the awesome thing about this was that we didn't hire any professionals to help us on site. It was thoroughly done by about 30 volunteers over the span of 2 weeks. And this isn't like adopting someone else's model, but this was actually something that we decided to start from scratch. And of course, we didn't start the project saying, oh no, we're going to create a modular house that could be easily put up by anybody and fit together like Lego pieces. It didn't start like that. Basically, what happened was, it started with a journey to an Orang Asli village in 2009. Why we went there was because we've been learning about leadership and values and principles and how we can apply in our real life for the last 3 years since 2006, but we didn't do anything about it. And so we thought to ourselves, man, if we don't do anything about it, we're basically hypocrites, right? So we said, okay, we want to do something, what do? So we found out an Orang Asli man who's helping an Orang Asli village in KKB, which is about 1.5 hours drive away from here. And we asked him, how can we help you? And they were totally contented. What happened, what we found out was that when we wanted to use their toilet, they didn't have one. So very shocked to our naive city minds, that cannot be possible. So we asked them, can we build you a toilet? And they said, sure. And we stepped outside and we realized that the houses weren't painted at all. They had brick houses, but it wasn't painted. So they said, can we also paint your houses? We didn't know how we were going to paint houses because we're not anybody in contract. I haven't painted any houses, I'm not a contractor. But we decided, okay, we'll do the best thing we know, and let's put it out on Facebook and see what we get. So to our surprise, we got a lot of people. We got about 64 people of different races, age groups, countries, and we were very, very encouraged. And that's really how we started. It was just like an accident. We were just testing to see how far this would go, and we weren't disappointed. We bet on people out there that cared, and we weren't disappointed. So following that, we went to the next village after we finished this one. And we asked them, okay, do you have any toilets to be built? Do you need us to paint your houses? But we realized that the houses were wooden, and we couldn't do anything. And their problems were different, and so we asked them, okay, what do you want us to do then? How can we help you? And so they said, oh, our roofs has holes. Our walls are falling apart. Our floor, some people has already fell through the floor. We need help with those. So we said, okay, we're not the expert. I'll bring an engineer over to see your house. So the guy came over and said, wow, I don't think it's about just changing the roofs or the walls, but it's about actually revamping their whole house, because we found out that their houses has not been changed for over 50 years. Over 50 years, and that's amazing that a lot of the houses are still standing. Unfortunately, there were a few that was not, but people were still living under whatever scrap you call a house. So we said, okay, I guess we need to build their house, but we didn't want to do things the normal way. We wanted to push the limits. Right? We didn't want people we didn't want to be an organization where we just raise money, pass it to some developer builds the houses, and so with just the same Orang Asli people living in new houses, which will deteriorate over time, and nothing really has changed. They say change comes from the inside. And so we wanted to integrate all this that we were taught. And so we said, okay, it would be cool if normal volunteers could build this house together with the Orang Asli people and build relationships at the same time. It would be a super fun activity. I think any of you would like to join. And